for different communities across London and out of London. So that's my lovely team right there. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about how to eat sustainable, but I wanted to also just explain to you guys that although this course is mainly from How to Be Smart Food Shopper, what I've done is I've tried to have a bit more words in there, like maybe talking to you guys just to kind of just help, you know, it's uncertain times right now. So I wanted to just basically make it more relevant to actually how things are now, as opposed to how things were like 4 months ago. Okay, so I wanted to cover a couple things. So one of them is going to be, let me go into here, habits. We're going to be talking about habits. We're also going to be talking about food storage, a little bit of meal planning, and I'm going to just kind of give you a few more snippets, because over the weekend, I've been asking a lot of our clients and our students as well, how's things been for them, especially for their eating habits and how they've been managing with their motivation to cook and so forth like that. So let's go into the first thing. So habits. Okay, so all right, so when I'm talking about habits when it comes to eating will come in two different things. So one of them is going to be positive association and negative association. We're also going to be talking a little bit about current eating habits. So we're going to kind of talk a little bit with stuff to do with COVID, and also emotional eating, and a little bit of brain chemistry. Okay, so let's get started. Now, if you guys have any questions, if you can just raise your hand. I've got like the icons on the side so I can actually see you.
Is this a festival thing on Facebook?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's sustainably-ish. And I'm just, we just started, my darling, so don't worry. If you could just put yourself on mute, and I'm going to have the text box if I need to answer any questions while I'm delivering as well. The presentation is going to be about half an hour, and then I'll have some time to do a Q&A after as well. All right, so we're going to go into the first one. So don't worry, you just started. We've just started, so you'll be okay. All right, so this one here is identifying your eating habits. So I was speaking to you before about positive and negative associations that you may have with food, and they mainly come from the memories. They mainly come from the memories that you may have with food. So example, at the moment, when it comes to like the food that you're buying and so forth like that, if you have like, say, positive association can be like, I don't know, when you've got a bit of a cold and your mum may have made you a soup, or if you have a special dish that one of your family members made you when you was younger, you may have a memory attached to that, and that's going to be a positive association. When you talk about negative associations, that would basically be like either sometimes it could be like a guilt food. So example, say if you're not having a great day and maybe food may be of a thing to do comfort eating, then you'll maybe go along and say, okay, I want to have that bar of chocolate. So it kind of goes different ways. So whatever food you're going to be having from a young age, you may have association, like either a feeling or memory that's associated to that food as well. And the reason why I wanted to actually speak about that right now is because at the moment, we're kind of all on survival mode when it comes to the food that we can be buying, especially with the foods being available to us. And because it's such uncertain times, it's like when you have like a structure, it may gone out of the window a little bit, but also you may not be as motivated to want to cook, to want to, eat certain types of foods and so forth like that. So actually understanding like your relationship with food is quite important, especially in this time. Because what I would even say is, even for myself, I just done 2 weeks of fasting, and what I realized is I also had to work through, okay, what food am I buying? What's accessible to me? Am I motivated to cook? And when I am cooking, what foods am I gravitating towards? And a lot of the times recently has been a lot of comfort food, because I've been like, oh my gosh, this is the pandemic. It's a lot of stress, and then there's a lot of panic buying, and it's just it's like a little bit of a vicious cycle. So for me, understanding the food that I'm gravitating towards is also helping me to be like, okay, I might need to just swap that over. So instead of me going for, I don't know, for my one at the moment, I'll probably say it's ice cream. So instead of me going for ice cream, I'm actually thinking about other things that I can use as like a comforting tool, as opposed to just using food as well. So whilst we're going to be talking this, emotional eating is one of them. So emotional eating basically the triggers come from actually your emotions, as opposed to being hungry. So why I've also included that is because when you have a time, a thought, a feeling location, if you're able to kind of identify them when you go to food shopping, then you can be like, okay, I know if I'm feeling a certain way, then basically if I go to food shopping, I'm going to buy my food shopping that day, I might buy other things that may not be useful for me. So example, if you always say to you, if you are hungry, never go buy your food shopping because you'll be the proud owner of aisle 5. And that's very true. And also as well, another thing which is quite funny is if you think about how you feel before you go food shopping, like, how would I feel right now? Am I feeling happy? Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling anxious? All these different things. You don't realize it, but that actually has a massive impact to the actual food you'll be buying when you're in the supermarket or when you're in a corner shop or whatever place you're going to be buying your food. So actually identifying, the time, the thought, the location and the feeling associated with the emotional triggers, that's going to really be helpful to you. So I always try to say, like, have like a bit of a diary to say, like, how am I feeling right now? Do I need those type of foods? Or, what have I got in my house? And I'm going to be talking a bit about food storage and how I actually do my food shopping as well. So I spoke about positive and negative association. I spoke a bit about eating habits. Now, what I would say to you guys as well, I'm going to talk a little bit about the neurotransmitters, is you have to remember, as much as like, I've been doing a lot of work with this for a long time about sustainable eating. What I realized more than anything is that a lot of the times right now, because things are so different, it's okay. Do you know what I mean? It's okay to basically kind of, your schedule's gone a bit to crap and you're basically thinking like, how am I going to either, survive or, different things may come to your mind. It's perfectly normal. I think what right now is trying to get some sort of normal. Maybe it might just be a temporary normal until things go back to, hopefully change from before, to be fair. But, I think the main thing is just saying to yourself, okay, how am I feeling? How has this affected me? Okay, so it's affected me this way. All right, what outcomes do I want to have? How do I want to be healthy? And then take it from there. Okay, if you can just mute, perfect. So I'm going to be talking about neurotransmitters. So neurotransmitters are basically, if you see that movie called like Inside Out, so Inside Out, they have those little cartoons. It's like Miss Happy, Miss Sad, Mr. Angry, da, da, da. So you got to think of your body as like an actual city. That's why I probably love nutrition, because I just see it as that. So you've got in your brain, guys, so I wasn't trying to be sexist. It's just that I had all these Wonder Women at the time. But in your brain, you've got your personal trainer, she's your male or your female. You've also got your beautician, you've got your personal assistant, and you have your masseuse, yeah? And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because this actually, your neurotransmitters are impacting the food that you're going to be buying, and obviously how you're going to be sustainable as well. Okay, so dopamine is like your lovely personal trainer. He or she allows your brain to be energized and focused and motivated and so forth like that. And then serotonin is like your inner beautician, or your your tailor, the person who makes you look very beautiful, your barbers and so forth like that. That one affects your confidence, it affects your self-esteem, and basically how you see yourself in the world, right? Then you've got this other one called acetylcholine. And that one is like your inner personal assistant. He or she helps you to remember important dates, times, your wallet, your keys, people's faces and so forth like that. And then the last one at the bottom, let's make sure, is called GABA. GABA is basically, it helps you to de-stress, to shut down, to relax and so forth. And also helps to prevent like feeling anxious as well, anxiety. Now, the thing is, dopamine and serotonin are like a part of the happy hormones. So that the happiness tool, the food you're going to be eating is going to be making you feel good and so forth like that. But in some cases, and when you're eating certain foods, these levels will go lower. So depending on what foods you're going to be eating, it's going to be having an impact into, say, the levels you're going to be having for each of these neurotransmitters. So what you want to be doing is having certain foods to increase that. So right now, if you want to have in your food basket, to try and have foods that's going to really boost your serotonin and your dopamine, because that's going to be your happy hormone tool. And that's going to be your almonds, avocados, your bananas, your pumpkin seeds. It's going to be your sesame seeds, some of your lean meats, but you can do some, you don't have to have meat if you're vegan. You can literally have some tofu and so forth. You can have a little bit of fish. You can have some nuts, soya products and so forth. But the main thing is decreasing your sugar intake. And as I spoke to you before about emotional eating and also positive and negative associations about food, sometimes we see chocolate or sweet foods as a treat, right? And that all stems from when we was younger. So example, when we had, our parents would say to us, oh, if you're a really good baby or a really good boy or girl, I'll give you a treat, yeah? And I literally kid you not, this was the questionnaire that I gave my students at the time, you know, to find out links with obesity and stuff like that. And they said to me, and then literally the treat was always either a sugar substitute, like either sweets or crisps or anything like that, or anything like cakes and so forth. So because of that, what's happened is as you tend to be an adult, those eating habits from young are literally growing older, and then that you can have different influences. It's going to be basically making you want to have certain foods. And also as well, another thing you have to remember is when you think of food, food is a lot about culture, and it's about like celebrating traditions and so forth like that. And those also play into what you're buying when it comes to your food shopping. So if you're going to be like craving, if you do have any cravings of sugar, what's going to happen is your dopamine levels is like a spike up and down with sugar. Your dopamine levels are going to be lower. If you want to have more serotonin, the one that gives you confidence and makes you feel good in yourself, even the complex carbohydrates, you know, turkey, brown rice, cottage cheese, lean meats, peanuts and sesame seeds, those ones are going to like increase the building blocks for those two things together. And then just if you want, I would say, just even trying to have a bit of normality as well. Try to have a bit of, for acetylcholine for your personal assistant, some egg yolks and some wheat germ. And then for GABA to try and de-stress, try to incorporate more oily fishes. So that would be your mackerel. And then you can also have like chocolate, but the one that's the dark chocolate, because that's also really good as well without any sugar. So the whole purpose of it is the food you're going to be eating, or the food's going to be in your basket or your trolley, it has to increase the positive effects on your brain. And then in that way, you'll start to also feel good in yourself as well. All right, so let's go into healthy eating made easy. Okay, so when we think of healthy eating, guys, we always say, okay, you know, healthy eating, you know, eat one of your 5 a day, one of your 10 a day, eat well, play, and so forth like that. Let me just try and make it single view. Yeah, eat well, play, and so forth like that. And yes, that is true, but when it comes down to it, it basically is an 80-20 rule. So you've basically got, let me just try and make sure you can see me. Yeah, so you basically got 80% you want to have ingredients that's going to be like an alkaline state. So it's going to be a lot of like green leafy vegetables, lots of colorful foods. You've got to think to yourself of the rainbow, not for Skittles, but actually for fruit and vegetables. And then the 20% rule is going to basically be your indulgent stuff. You know, that can be some of your cakes with any desserts or things that you like to try and like, you know, won't be seen as healthy. One rule of thumb, what I would definitely say is increase your intake of water, because what I'm finding at the moment is that when I'm speaking to a lot of our students, our families, a lot of people are snacking. Like for some reason, I don't know if we could be doing homeschooling maybe, or we may be on furlough, we might be working, or if you've got any family in your household, a lot of us is snacking more, because it's like either you're having your 3 set meals a day or maybe not so. And then you want to have, your children may want to have snacks, or you want to have snacks in between as a way of comfort, as well as just eat. It could also be from boredom. But at the same time, if you do find yourself snacking more, what you should be able to do is trying to incorporate just having more water, because it might also be a sign that you might be dehydrated as well. Let me see if there's any. Okay, so what I try to say with a healthy diet, I always say that I want to have fruit and vegetables as the main start of the show. So example, I want to have a wide range of fruit and vegetables, lots of water, and then I can go into like beans and pulses, and then I can go into grains and seafood, and then as you can see at the bottom I put lean meats and fish. So my whole thing is, I'm not vegan, but I always try to say that I want to have fruit and vegetables as the main show, because I do find that in different cuisine styles, a lot of people different cuisine styles will celebrate fruit and vegetables more than sometimes a traditional English or other, even Caribbean diet. So because of that reason, I try to incorporate dishes from around the world, just to let me be able to like get a bit more experimental with the fruit and vegetable intake that I want to do. Another thing that I would also say is, I know right now we are probably cooking more than we would normally do. Even although like we always have this thing like, you know, Deliveroo or Uber Eats are always like having some sort of advertisement to, you know, to say, oh, you can, oh, don't Deliveroo and stuff, be helpful. But what I would say is, when it comes to the 20% rule, what I always try to say is that could be your restaurant inspired meals. So those meals there, that would be able to be like, if you're missing, I don't know, Nando's or your Chinese take, you know, anything that you kind of like you would be having at your home, that could be your restaurant inspired meals. And at least that way, if you're able to incorporate a few of those dishes, then it also just makes you feel a bit more nicer. I know that I was kind of craving Nando's, so I had to basically make Nando's at home as well. Okay, so next one. So this one's quite important. I'm going to talk slightly about portion control. And I know right now, yeah, it's just from everyone, it says kind of caution to the wind. But I think when it comes to portion control and it comes to understanding your brain and also your well-being, everything is basically tying in together. So example, if you are having your meal times, if you're not having Pacific meal times as well, what will tend to happen is it's like you're just having meal times that will be very sporadic. And because of that, it could be like, okay, I have breakfast at that time. I had lunch at that time, and dinner could be later. But then also, if you're having these meal times in front of any devices, your computer, the TV, the phone, and so forth, you're basically stopping yourself from listening to your body to say, okay, I'm actually full. What I try to do for portion control, just to make life easy for myself as well, I just have different size plates. So what I try to do is, if I'm doing certain dishes, I may just have one main meal. But I always try to, if I'm going to be sharing out a plate, then I share the fruit and the vegetables first, make it half of the plate. Then I do a little bit of the carbohydrates, that'll be 1/4, and then I do the meat or any other fish or meat substance, or I might just be tofu or anything like that. So I try to do that way if I'm going to be sharing out for a plate. But another way that you can do is just do communal eating. So you'll have different dishes onto the table. You have 2 small bowls, and funny enough, actually eating with chopsticks, I know it sounds a bit crazy, but it's another way of actually making you eat slowly. So that if you're going to be drinking like teas, like having warm teas, herbal teas, while you're having your meals, you're going to find yourself being more full, and also you're going to be detoxifying your blood and also feeling quite good. And it's going to be helping you with digestion as well, and which is quite helpful. So although like we've got the rice, which is 1 cup, and it's quite funny when I try to tell my students that you don't need to eat tons of rice, even though it might be a cultural thing. You just want to basically have more vegetables, have more legumes, and you want to have some healthy fats and stuff like that. But that's going to be mixtures either from rapeseed oil, you can have some walnut, chia seeds, stuff like that, avocados, those type of healthy fats if you're going to be start to do more of the fat stuff as well. And also for the meat, so we've got the palm here, and if you are going to have a meat substance, I really try to say, if you are going to be a meat eater, one, try to have, say, a palm. I wouldn't even say try to even increase your meat consumption. I'd probably say if you want to try and maybe have like some tofu or some tapioca, have some chicken, like white meat, and have like a palm of your hand. If you are going to have red meat, I would never have red meat and fish on the same day because it doesn't digest quite well. So I always say if you're going to have beef on a Monday, then maybe have salmon on a Wednesday, because you don't want to just be bogging yourself down with so much meat as well. And try to also increase your vegetables by having maybe some vegan nights. Try to have some plant-based dishes as part of your actual meals as well. Okay, so let's go here. All right, so this one's quite interesting, guys, because like I said, I've been talking a little bit to you guys about talking to you guys about brain chemistry and so forth like that. And I've got this lovely chart here, and it's all about cravings. So if you are craving chocolate, you know, love about ice cream, then you are probably lower in magnesium. Magnesium is more to do with your blood, and it's really good for your blood health. It works really well with potassium. So I always kind of say to my primary school children, you know, potassium's from East London, magnesium's from West London, and meet up in Central London, have fun. And I also, so basically, if you want to increase, so when your body's saying to you, okay, I'm craving these foods, what it basically means is that I'm lacking these nutrients. So you want to actually increase these by having these fruit and vegetables here. As you can see, it's quite funny because all these cravings here, which is quite common in the foods we eat, have you seen the abundance of fruit and vegetables over here, guys? It's quite amazing, isn't it? We've literally got broccoli, grapes, like all different ones, and mainly green leafy vegetables is going to be high in antioxidants as well, and lots of like seeds and nuts. So whenever you start finding yourself, okay, I might be craving X, Y, and Z, really think to yourself, okay, what am I actually lacking in, and then try to incorporate that into your food budgets and in your food shopping as well.
Nureen, can I just sorry, interrupt for one little second?
Sure.
Because we started late, I'm just really aware we need to wrap up on time because we've got another one at 7.
Yeah.
Have you got if people have got any questions, that would be amazing. And can I just ask you a few questions? All this information is amazing for us to eat sustainably, like for us.
Yes.
If we're looking for some inspiration or hints and tips around sort of eating sustainably planet wise,
yes,
you've touched on, you know, that really sort of small palm size, you know, people are having red meat and things like that, but what are good ways that we can all sort of easily, maybe without even noticing quite so much, reduce our meat consumption? Are there easy ways we can sort of sneak some things in?
Yeah, let's find. Let me try and make it stop sharing for a second. Okay, so what I would say, right, is if you want to try to increase more of your fruit and vegetables, I would say your condiments. So condiments are really good, like your spices, your herbs, your oils, your sauces. Yeah, those ones are really good. So when I'm always doing, like, I'm going to see if I can kind of show you a little bit. Excuse me, right. So over here, I have my hub. Yeah. Sorry, guys, I wasn't be right there.
Wow.
You go. So my hub, guys, yeah, has food from around the world. So I've got teas, coffees from Vietnam. I've got all sorts of different like spices and herbs and so forth like that. And I really try to increase the amount of condiments I have. So when I'm also thinking about sustainability, I'm kind of seeing it as a chef point of view. So my thing is that I want to be able to add flavor to anything that I make. So that basically means the more spices and herbs that I've got, the more, like, I do it by groups. So I'd say to you, if you want to do like Asian cuisine style, they always have the same variations of ingredients. That's going to be, you don't have to do fish sauce because you can do the vegan ones. So you can do, they've got fish sauce, they've got oyster sauce, vegetarian ones as well. They've got sesame seed oil, soy sauce, mirin, sriracha, or like those type of stuff. And that's like the basis when it comes to Asian cuisine style. If you have that in your cupboards, then you can basically make anything from East Asia or Southeast Asia. Another thing I would also say is really increase your herbs and spices, because that's going to be reducing the amount of salt you have in your food as well. And another thing that I'd also say is, you know, always have the trio, which is the magic trio, which is onion, garlic, and ginger. Those things are just like amazing to make just elevate any dish.
Yeah,
it's really, really important to look at different cuisine styles from around the world. And I'll tell you why. When it comes to like a traditional British diet, or some other diets as well, we don't always make vegetables the star of the show. We always have meat to veg. It's always meat. But the thing is, vegetables are amazing. You got to think of them as your best friends. The more you see them as your best friends, like look at this chart behind me. We have all these stuff about our cravings, right? We want these foods, we use them as comfort, we go to food shopping, and then we're like, we don't actually think, okay, actually my body's saying to me, I don't actually craving chocolate, I just want to have some more magnesium. You know, I'm not really craving bread, I just want to have more nitrogen. So you have to think to yourself, okay, you know, look at certain things and just try to say, okay, how can I make more? Having more vegan nights, don't really call it vegan, because I'm just a chef, I just cook. Food is your friend, isn't it? I just not going to say to you, don't eat me. Try to actually incorporate, maybe even having like barbecues, maybe even like making more of the soups as well. But there's so many cuisines that just love vegetables, so start there. You can go into YouTube on my website, feedmegood.co.uk. I've got lots of recipes on there, and I always try to say to you that any dish that I make that has a meat, I always have a vegetable option, and I always either use like beans or pulses or tofu, or, you know, anything like that as well. And also for sweet stuff, because I know that we might be craving that. Sorry guys, I think I'm missing a bit of ice cream. I'm also just been using like sweet potato, like, because I've got a gluten and dairy intolerance, and it's hell for me right now, guys. I've been baking with like beans and sweet potato and courgette, and to be honest, it's been amazing. I've got some purple sweet potatoes in the cupboard. I'm making ice cream out of that tonight. That's why I'm probably talking about ice cream all the time. But the whole thing is, make vegetables the star of the show. How you store your food is a huge thing as well. You do, when I buy my food shopping, guys, I keep it really simple. I have a 3-step system. So the first step is family classics. So whatever dishes that my son and I love, I tell him to write it down. So we do like 2 meals in a week, and we buy those ingredients. The second one is restaurant inspired. That's when I'm going to be going out, or maybe not. Like on a Friday, you tend to buy a takeaway. On a Saturday, you might go for a meal. So I will be making that in my house. So I'm like, you know what? We want some dim sum, we make the dim sum, you know? And a lot of the times, if you even go to different restaurants, like supermarkets, like the Chinese ones as well, a lot of it is ready made. So when you go in Chinese supermarket, like Chinese restaurants, and you're getting dim sum, unless it's other places, it's ready made. So you have to, you know, learning about how to make these dishes or incorporating them. So family classic, 4 meals, restaurant inspired 4 meals. And then the wild card one is my absolute favorite. So whatever I've got left in my cupboard, and because I tend to stock the same stuff when it comes to my condiments, I basically would just be like, right, Kari, what we eating today? And I take everything out, or most of it, and I just start cooking. So right now I have some coriander rice left over. I'm repurposing that and making egg fried rice and burritos. So every single dish that you're making, all the ingredients you're buying, you really have to think to yourself, how many dishes can I make out of it? If I was to have a whole, like, say, like even if I was having a chicken or fish or even tofu, you know, if I'm having tofu, right, I'm making donuts out of that. And then if I'm not making donuts out of that, I'm going to be making some other dishes out of it. I might
tofu
make
donuts. Like,
yeah, it's my favorite thing, guys.
Tofu donuts.
Yeah, tofu donuts. I had to go. I was catering for a vegan retreat 2 years ago now, and funny story. I had to make donuts, and I was like, right, how to do it? And I found this recipe, and then I recreated it, and then it's sit with me. So I've made it like over 100 times for my clients and my students, and they love it. Children actually love tofu. Funny enough, they love the donuts. So yeah,
cool. So just a couple of questions out of the chat, or a couple of things that people have said. I really like your thing about, you know, like, make vegetables the star of the show, and even if you are still eating meat, like, don't have that as the main thing, and just add a little bit. But Mary said about ginger, because you were talking about that sort of holy trinity of that she freezes it and then grates it straight into dishes. Yeah, that's what I do. In terms of like meal planning, have you got any meal planning tips for us? Because we're all being more careful at the moment.
Yeah, sure. So this is the thing, guys, right? Let me just try and see if I can pause sharing. Okay, so this is the thing. We don't always want to be in the kitchen. Right now, I feel like I probably cook the most I've cooked in my life, and I cook quite a lot in the week, yeah? And it's okay to have those lazy days, but I think the meals that you have to do, you have to be able to repurpose it. So example, if you're cooking one dinner, try to do 2 in that setting. So if you're going to be making a lasagna, like a bean lasagna, make something else to go with it so you can repurpose it the next day. Get your kids involved. Like right now, I'm doing a ready, steady cook with my son because I'm had enough, right? So I'm doing ready, steady cook and come dine with me. So if you're in a household with your family, maybe one parent or your partner could be like, right, you've got these ingredients. Like, I kid you not, they put me on the spot. They gave me 5 ingredients, 20 minutes, and I made like 2 dishes out of it.
Oh, wow.
So you can actually do the same. Like, you know, you can be like, right, you've got half an hour, you've got a few ingredients, and these ingredients could be what's going to be like going towards the bin. Do you understand? Because the whole thing is, I want you to like decrease as much food waste as possible. Okay. So come down with me, you're ready, steady cook.
I love that. People in the chat talking about eating seasonally as well. And I think Alexa said the Riverford website has some great seasonal recipes. And, you know, there are loads of places where you can Google to sort of say, you know, like literally what's in season at home, because we've really lost touch, haven't we, with what food's in season and what isn't. Yeah,
I think definitely like buying it. The thing is, with my one is a bit of a, it's because I'm Jamaican, my background's Jamaican, so my food obviously is not in season. So when I'm buying my ingredients, if I'm buying my traditional stuff like green banana and so forth, that is not going to be in season in the UK. So I think definitely buying in season is good, but I also feel like you should try to incorporate different types of dishes. So example, say if you've got your classic menus, like you've got, I don't know, like a pie, right? So just mixing up by having different things. So like example, buying in season is amazing, but I also feel like your condiments bring out things so well. So you could literally be like, right, I've got this cauliflower. I can make fried chicken cauliflower, the fake one. Or I could literally do like cauliflower rice, and then I can repurpose that rice and make it into pizza. Do you understand? So each time that you're thinking of your dishes that's going to be buying in season, think to yourself, how many things can I get out of that one thing?
Yeah,
and then you're going to find yourself, you know, getting wasting less food as well. And also another thing I'd also say to you guys, think of your restaurant, your house like a restaurant. So your kitchen is a restaurant. It's got all the base ingredients for whatever you need. You need to do stock rotation. Have a chart at the side of your door. Actually write down what is in there. Put some dates on there as well. And also, you know, clear out your freezer. That's your friend, because you need to be able to, like, you know, you put your leftovers in there. And actually try your best to just be like, right, I've got these ingredients. Those are going to be going off soon. Put the old things to the front, the new things to the back, and start cooking that way. So that way you'll have less food wastage.
I know someone who had in their fridge, and it was a brilliant idea, a use me first box. So everything that needed using up went in there.
Exactly.
And I think it's going to have to be the final question, because we're going to need to wrap up. Do you have any advice on logos that can be trusted to indicate sort of sustainability and environmentally responsible products? Because I guess what should we be looking out for as logo wise?
This one's because at the moment it's like I've got quite a few products, but if I'm being honest with you, I can't always tell which ones are going to be ethical. I'll be honest with you, what I would say is that what I tend to go for, I go for Oddbox, I go for like Riverford, stuff like that, just so I know that it's going to be food that's going to be thrown away. I try to buy more fresh ingredients. If the things are going to be like either my jars and so forth like that, then I might just get certain like sauces and so forth. But if I'm being honest with you guys, I tend to make the same kind of sauces. So maybe I might make my own stock from having the leftover like peels, like the potato peels, onion peels, whatever, and I'll make my own stock. So I think what this has taught me right now is we're all going back to basics. So it's not necessarily about looking out for logos. It's just basically being like, right, how did our grandmas do it? Do you know what I mean? And just kind of do it that way.
So Pip's asking for the recipe for tofu donuts. Maybe if you could share that with us in the Facebook group. Mm-hmm. And on that sort of labelling and things point, just a tip for people. There's an app, and Joe, who is the founder of the app, called Geeky. I'll pop
I know Geeky, yes.
So there's an app, and it's a free app. You download it and you can scan. It's quite a fun thing to do with the kids actually during lockdown, as long as you don't mind them trashing your kitchen cupboard. And you know, you can go through, you scan the barcodes of the items that you've got, and then it comes up, I can't remember how many badges they've got, 13 badges, and it will let you know whether there's palm oil in there. Oh, my phone's going off.
Hold
on.
Hey guys.
It will let you know whether there's palm oil in there. It will tell you about, you know, animal cruelty. It will tell you about packaging, all those sorts of things. So that is an amazing app. And like I said, quite a fun thing to do with the kids, and can start some really interesting discussions.
Yeah, another thing can I add as well? There's a game that I've got called Labeling Detectives. So when so I can share that information as well. It's something that I do with the adults and children, learning about labeling, like best before, used by, first 5 ingredients and so forth like that. So I'm doing it more from a manufactured state as well. So I can share that over.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank
you, problem. Thank you.
Bearing with us, and I'm sorry we've had to sort of cut that short, but I hope everybody's got something useful out of that. And Yeah, thank you so much, Nureen. Thank you for dealing with that so
Oh,
ably,
it's
all
okay.
that
Fine, these
stress.
things happen, but I'm definitely gonna. I would love to do again, and hopefully this time I have no more technical.
Brilliant. Yeah. And guys, we'll be back on Crowdcast, fingers crossed, at 7 o'clock with Vicky. And I will post this replay up once I've managed to download it. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Nureen. You've been absolutely brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.